A question heading into this season was what Power's plan was heading into 2021-22, because it had been long rumored that he wanted to return to the University of Michigan, and that would end up becoming true as Lance Lozowiski and the Buffalo News reported. He is returning to Michigan next year, and he's going to play with players like Kent Johnson, the 5th overall pick in Columbus, Luke Hughes, the 4th overall pick, as we just mentioned, from New Jersey, Matt Beniers, the 2nd overall pick for Seattle, and tons of other names that you could go down. I'll even put a list of just the projected lineup. Look at all of these names that are available. It's just ridiculous. Now, in my eyes, and most fans of the team, this is the right decision. You know, he couldn't, it's not that he couldn't play minutes for the Sabres and probably be effective, and or at least average maybe in bottom pairing minutes if that's what they were to play him as. But is that necessarily worth it? Looking at the developmental paths of, say, Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar, who after their draft year took 1 and 2 years respectively to play in the NCAA to further develop their game offensively and defensively, they're now premier players in this league. And look at the stuff they've been able to do. They were both nominated for the Calder. Cale would end up winning. Quinn would be the runner-up. If Owen Power projects to be like those players, which honestly he does, he's the 1st overall pick in this draft. He's going to be among that tier, just slightly lower probably than those players. All you need to do is look at Alex Nylander, the 8th overall pick in the 2016 draft, and see his development and how you would probably want to do something different here with Power. Now, you're talking about the 1st and 8th overall pick. You probably get a more surefire thing with Power, but you can't screw this up. Because look at the past decade of disappointment for this team. All it's been full of is screw ups. Zemgus Girgensons, even Casey Middlestat, who had a nice redemption arc this past year, still has widely underperformed his hype and his draft position, because he was also an 8th overall pick back in the 2017 draft. Nylander's now moved on to the Chicago Blackhawks organization, and at least had one season where he looked like he could be a decent 3rd liner, but even things have kind of gone stale for him. And who knows if he's going to be in a full-time NHL player. And at 8th overall, that's just not acceptable. And at 1st overall, you want to have a premier defender. You want to have a 1st pairing defenseman, which Power projects to be at this moment. So if he's projecting to be that, you have to be able to develop him. And the Sabres, as they head into this next phase of their rebuild, have to make notable changes in that area. And they appear to have done so, but let's see if they actually can.